Okay, we're live. We're starting now. Cool. Hey guys, how's it going? Oh, sorry. Stop my dog. He has allergies. We have an exciting meetup today. A lot of stuff happened in the last week. We finally released the big sales agent update. So you can now set up your own AI conversational sales agents using entirely simple language. Sorry. And we're setting them up ourselves. We're using them internally as well, and we're getting 10% reply rates, and we even have examples of customers replying to them like as a conversational. So it's not just personalized outbound, which you might be seeing now because GPT-4 is enabling this now. It's actually like a conversation moving them towards a goal. Super exciting. We also have these cool outputs now. Agents now generate relevant graphs and charts, and they automatically detect if it's necessary and then figure out what kind of chart to generate. So if it's like financial data, it'll be line graphs and stuff like that. We're now revealing finally in this meetup agent webhooks. So we launched the ability to email agents earlier this week. So you can directly email any agent and task. You can now see that email and how to do that in the agent settings on the dashboard. So if you go to the dashboard, click agent settings, and you'll see how to email agents there. And then, excuse me, we set up the ability to finally trigger agents from webhooks. So any other service like Zapier can also now trigger agents directly, or any task within the agent pipeline directly. So you can build things like personalized assistants and things like that that intelligently respond based on what you want them to do, and you can build them in simple language. And this is really fun because previously, in order to set up things like webhooks, you would need to like route them to the no code editor or the code editor, but this is much easier. You can actually set it up in simple language, so that's easy. And then the other significant update this week is the feedback we got after releasing the sales agent was a lot of users need lead generation or leads. And so you can get these things from, like, there's databases like Apollo.io that have 200 million emails, but you still need like some context for generating personalized messages. And so in order to get that, we're going to be releasing agents to get that context, including from Apollo.io and other things like that, like Outreach and stuff. And I'm going to demo some as well today. I'm going to demo the sales agents that can do that as well today. And we also upgraded the Google Maps lead generation agent. So let's get right into it. So we have now conversational sales agents to allow you to build your own AI sales team. And not just, this is if you've set up things like Apollo.io, this is not just personalized outbound. It's not just a cold outbound with A/B testing. Sorry, I'm just checking if the audio is still working. These agents are actually able to maintain a conversation. And that's exciting because we're getting higher response rates, and they're personalized conversations. So it's really more closer to an AI sales agent. And you can train them using simple language just like an employee. And so we've actually been running this. And in order to get this to work, what they do is they set up their conversations in a vector database called Supabase, which we show you how to set up. So you set up your own open source database called Supabase, which has this abilities to store embeddings. And what embeddings is, it's a trick from OpenAI that allows you to relate text using numbers very easily. And this gives agents the ability to implicitly learn from your data as you use them. So all the data that agents use when they process and run is getting stored now in your own private vector database that's separate from each other user or even our own data. And as they're having these conversations, they're storing them here, just like allowing them basically to have infinite memory, as long as you want, basically. So you can now store conversations with unlimited leads in parallel, so there's no limit to that, and they can keep going to 20 pages of length. And so, and this allows you to also implicitly grow a valuable database for your business that's independent of even GPT-4 or cheat layer that you can bring to every new language model that comes out, like GPT-5, because it implicitly learns as these agents have conversations, for example. You can actually see that this is actually working. They're responding and things like that, and it's actually working. And so they learn what conversations and what copy implicitly works. So you can do things like ask it to bring up all the conversations that were successful, or ask it to bring up all the high converting copy that actually led to sales. And so through these thousands of conversations, you don't lose that knowledge anymore into a sales rep. It gets stored in a central source, and it's now learning implicitly what high converting copy is specifically for your market and your business. And so over time, these agents will just get better and better over time. And this data set is actually a unique, valuable data set for your business. It's not just useful for sales. Any sort of textual-based information like research or events or business analytics, you can now store in this vector database and ask it questions after the fact. So over time, this will get more useful. We'll start releasing more examples of what I mean by that. But you'll be able to ask business intelligence questions against this database because it's efficient to search using embeddings like that. So we'll talk about that in future meetings. That's really cool. But just understand that the idea of this is that now each user has this growing valuable data set. It's free to run. Supabase is free. I mean, when you get to a certain point, you can pay, but you can also host it yourself. So it's open source and everything like that, so it's great. And this grows with your business over time. So you don't lose it. It's independent of cheat layer. It's independent of GPT-4. This idea of embeddings can be used in GPT-5 likely. It's likely going to be somewhat backwards compatible. And so you'll be able to grow this valuable data set over time. Yeah. Maybe even rent out access to it, like sell it as a product someday. Because if you have significant traffic in your business and market, and you're actually getting significant sales, that's something valuable that other people don't have. Maybe you could start, instead of hiring sales agents, you could start selling AI sales agents that are really good at your market and your business. And I'm sure we have users who have tons of traffic in specific markets, and they're now going to start growing unique data sets that are really good at sales. And so I'm excited to see that happening. But also, more interestingly, I'm going to talk about it in a minute, we're growing this global... We already have a global data set for code generation just to make agents more effective when they generate code. So every time people try agents, even if they fail, when they have this ability to regenerate tasks when they fail. And what they're doing is basically checking if the output is expected. So when agents have an output that is correct, it'll say it's correct and the output will be done, and it knows it's expected, and it's able to now store the code that it used to generate this. This is going to be very powerful in a second when I get to the research that we're working on next, because it allows us to teach agents across all users as a community to constantly be self-improving, learning, getting better, even if these tasks fail. Just by the virtue of users testing it, some of these tasks will succeed and agents will start learning. And so that's really exciting. So I'll talk about that in a few slides. But in the context of sales agents, you can set these up entirely in simple language. So if you have that, I'm not going to show you how to set this up in this call. I'm just going to show you the outputs. But if you go to the agent's dashboard, you can click agent settings. It shows you how to set up the Supabase URL. And there's a video tutorial here that shows you how to set up your own Supabase. This is all free. You can set it up in 15 minutes. And it's totally worth it. And then you can start seeing the data for your agents populating in parallel and things like that. So that's kind of exciting. So let me just quickly demo how this works. Let's see. Let's go here. Reset this agent. And let's run the outbound. So there's two parts to this agent. So it does outbound, cold outbound, but not cold outbound, it's personalized outbound conversations. And what we did is we have this huge lead list of 1,500 YouTubers with partners that we want to target, basically with descriptions that we scraped of what what their business is and what their market is and things like that. And basically, what it's doing now is the agent is going to process that. It's going to go through each one. It's going to generate a personalized message. It might take 10 seconds. It's going to use GPT-4 to generate that personalized message. And then it's going to send it, but also store that message in that Supabase vector database, basically. So all these conversations are getting stored. And hold on. Let me go here first. Oops. Okay. So you can see down here, there's nothing added yet, but when we get to the next email, okay, cool. Yeah. So it's now sending out personalized emails for each one of the users in that list. I'm going a little fast. I would edit this in your agent and make it go to 60 seconds, but just for illustrative purposes so you can see what it's doing. It's actually generating a personalized different email for each one of these people. And then, let's see. And it's storing it in this vector database. So, hold on. To order by name. But yeah, you get the idea. And that's really exciting. So, hold on. Let me stop this. Because in our tests with this, we actually ran into a situation where one of the customers actually replied up to 5 times and had an entire conversation with the agent. And it was actually even correct. What the agent was saying was even correct. So if you look closely, am I sharing this yet? You can see that we reached out to this guy as a partnership, and we still want to work with this. This is cool. This guy was awesome. But he said, yeah, he was interested. And then the agent responded to the reply and said, great, I'm glad you're interested. If you have any specific questions or need more information, feel free to ask. And the way I designed the agent, you can go test it out yourself. It's live down here. Go click deploy on the V3 sales agent. It's all entirely simple language, how I describe the agent to act. You can see that I asked it to send extra info only if they ask for it. And if they don't ask for a demo video, don't send them extra links. Just try to have a conversation with them. And then guess their name based on their email if you can't figure that out. So now it knows how to reply to people. But then, and then also if they're interested in a demo, send them the calendar link. If they're interested in a video, send them the video. So it's going to have this conversation with people in your target persona and move them towards certain goals, like a sales or demo link for us or videos. Sometimes customers, we figured out, want videos instead of demo links in their email responses. And so we added this ability of actually the agent sending that video. So what I recommend doing this when you set this up yourself at home, it's super easy to set up GPT-4 powered autoresponders. They don't have to be sales agents. They can be like support agents or a personal assistant that just responds to your email however you want. Put in all the edge cases of how you would respond to things and test it first and see, like try to break it and go, like ask for a video instead or ask for a meeting outside or something like that and see what it does. And then if it doesn't do it correctly, just come back here and you can edit these tasks by just clicking in here and then saying if they want this, do this. If they want to meet in person, say we can't do that now, but send the Calendly link instead. Okay, that's it. You just like you were explaining it to an employee. That's how you explain it to these agents now. That's the level it's at. And then you click outside, it saves it, and then now it knows how to do that. And then we'll test that next as well. So it's super easy to build GPT-powered autoresponders. We had a webinar for automating this stuff before, but it's kind of like tricky. You have to set up webhooks and all that stuff. It's all simple language now. So it's very easy. And then I recommend testing this out even if you don't have sales, and letting me know if you do have sales already set up, what the difference is versus what you were using before. Because when we used Apollo.io before, we were getting around a 4% reply rate, which is normal. We were doing huge volume. We weren't really targeting that much. But now we're getting a 10% reply rate just on these personalized messages going out. Just that's it. And we haven't even tried to train it more. I'm sure we can continue to train it more and more edge cases and give it. And it's starting from 0 at this point. We haven't actually uploaded our history of successful copy. So that's another cool feature. Another user in our Discord had an idea. Sorry, I forgot your name. But anyways, shout outs to this user that you can actually now, you should be able to upload data in the next update directly to your Supabase, so you don't start from zero. So if you have like a history of conversations in your email, you can export them, or a history of conversations in like your support system or something like that. You can export them, upload them. We'll parse them into your vector database for you, and then sort of automatically pull up conversations and be able to continue where they left off. That's a really cool feature because one of the big problems we had when we were looking for like support software is when you try to switch support software, there's often lock-in or platform risk, and you can't transfer the data. It's difficult. That's one of the issues. Or that's one of the tricks they use to get you to stay with them. So I think a much better design would be like a universal, for support at least, this would be amazing, a universal embedding-based format for support. That way that I don't think Intercom's going to be alive for 100 years or 200 years, right? So when these startups do eventually fail, the data doesn't disappear or something. There's no platform risk anymore. So, but also, since you have access to the data, it's much more valuable to you, because if you store it as embeddings, you can build agents that implicitly learn from the data. I mean, I'm sure they're building things like that too, but now you should have access to that data, so you can do it as well. So this is super exciting. And I'm going to talk more about that. Let's test the autoresponder as well. So let's say I'm interested in a video. You can also test this. Don't do it right now, but test this later, or set it up yourself as well with your own email. It's very easy. Watch that tutorial video. The tutorial video shows you how to set it up with Google Workspace. So that's the easy way to set up. You can connect any domain to Google Workspace, and that it uses Gmail to send the responses out, and that's very easy to do. Or you can use any transactional email service and forward the email to the agent email address, and then to send things back, just tell the agent the API of the transactional email service, and that's it. It uses our internal sending AJAX function to do the sending, and then it'll be able to send replies and all that stuff. We've tested this with Mailgun. I'll post a few examples of this. Or another easy way to set it up is Zapier. So if the transactional email service connects to Zapier, is you can just connect Zapier to the agent email and then back again as well. So we'll release more tutorials on this. It's very easy to set this up with any service, but I've set it up with Gmail because we've used Gmass and Gmail before for deliverability, and it seems to work well. You can just, once you set it up in your settings for forwarding, and you can check that tutorial on how to do it, you now have these autoresponders that respond based on how you want them to act, like personal assistants, intelligent personal assistants, and things like that. In about a minute or so, it's going to respond, and it's going to generate. So what it does is here it goes. So since you can now directly email agents, you can now directly email the task. What it does is it takes the task that you wrote in simple language, see, I wrote this, and then adds on the context of the email to process the email. And then since it's built on Project Atlas, it processes all that in JavaScript, generates an automation in JavaScript, and sends an email back. So this is cool. It took like a few layers of architecture to build up to this actually working finally, but it's exciting that it's working. Like actually setting up Supabase, setting up Project Atlas, setting up this ability to get the context, setting up the... It took a while. Thanks you're interested, and it sent a link it sent a link to the YouTube video. This is a recorded, you can go back and check. But it sent the YouTube video that I put here because I asked for the YouTube video. You can also email the same email. Don't do it now so I don't get bombarded with emails, and see how it responds. Test it out. This is my agent. You can test it out. That's kind of cool. You can ask for a demo video, or try to break it and see what happens. That's kind of cool. All right. So... let's go back here. This is super easy to set up. It literally only takes 15 minutes. But if you have like a significant business and you want like advice on how to set this up and how to test it yourself and all that stuff, I will personally set it up for you. So send me an email at rohan@cheatlayer.com, because we're looking to like publicize use cases of significant businesses switching to this. And so we'll what we want from you is just like actual metrics from your business actually improving. So if it actually does improve things, that would be awesome for us. So I'll set it up for you. I have a separate calendar. I'll set it up personally, meet with you, screen share everything, and show you how to set up your own agents and test it before you even go live and all that stuff. And then we're looking for people who have these who are already doing cold outbound, or maybe interested in doing significant cold outbound, because we need people who are doing at least a few hundred emails per day to have enough data for statistical significance for metrics and stuff like that. But yeah, if anyone fits in that, just send me an email at rohan@cheatlayer.com. Let me just add that here. Okay. Why doesn't everyone edit their slides while they're doing it? Anyways, dynamic relevant reports. So this is cool. So do I have one in my dashboard? I'll have to run it again probably, right? Let's see. I might have one already generated. Oh, here's one. Cool. Yeah, I generated one. Okay, so the idea is that before they were just kind of like outputting text. I'll run another one anyway, just to show you how it works. We'll run this one. These agents, before they were just generating text outputs, it was kind of hard to see. So we want them to actually be useful in your business. And just to start, we're starting to generate actual relevant dynamic reports based on the outputs of what they do, so they can first just generate the reports. Next, what we want to do is do actions on that data somehow next and stuff like that. So that's kind of cool. Okay. So now it's got the PDF links. After it gets through this process, what it's going to do is it's going to look at the output. And based on the output, if there's like financial data or if there's just words, it'll generate like a meaningful graph based on the output using, like, if there's financial data, it'll use line graphs or charts and stuff like that. If there's no financial data, if it's just like research, it does this thing, which is a word cloud, which is kind of cool. It's kind of fun. So yeah, let me know. We don't know what it has access to the D3 library to generate any sort of graph, so we don't know what it'll generate. It has the access to generate sort of any sort of wild, go look up D3, any sort of wildly designed graphs and stuff. So I think we've only trained this to happen on the output, so we'll train agents to also be able to do this. So you can't directly ask agents to do this. It does it based on the output now currently. So it's useful, super useful. That's kind of cool. This is going to take a few minutes to go through. What it's doing now is, this is the scientific research agent, so it's opening up all these research papers. It found all the latest research papers on GPT-4. My version of the extension is a little bit more, is a debug mode extension, so it'll function a little bit different from yours. And actually, in general, anything I'm demoing today, you'll probably need 7.1.0 for webhooks and all that stuff. So I forgot to mention that. But in the next update, you guys will have access to webhook. It's not live now, so I'm going to show you that next. But I'm going to show it to you next. So back to where I was. So I was talking about the scientific research agent. It's just going to finish this task, and when it's finally done, it'll actually output in like the same kind of word cloud. So you get the idea. We'll come back to this. All right. So agent webhooks. This is exciting. So now you can trigger agents and tasks directly from Zapier or any other service like Google Calendar and stuff like that. So what I've done here is a few examples. This is cool. In this one, so when you set up the Zapier webhook for canceled meetings on Google Calendar, it's like delayed. It doesn't do it immediately. It's like 6 minutes or 15 minutes later. So I don't have time for waiting for that. What I'm just going to do is retest it, force it to retest it. I'm going to trigger the Zapier action. And okay, cool. Now it's triggering my personal assistant. So what it does is it sent the calendar event here, which was a canceled calendar event that I actually did before. This is like demo, like a demo event that I tested before and I canceled myself. So it's going to now send me an email to reschedule that canceled event using my calendar link. So you can like automate this process where whenever anyone cancels a meeting, it'll just automatically send them try to reschedule it for them. And watch what's going to happen next. So it sent the email, right? And look at this. Now it's talking to my other agent. So now my other agent is going to respond to this one. It's hilarious. And so I can have this agent actually pick a time. And then this is a cool way to test it, actually. What I should keep doing this. I should have this agent pick a time and then have that agent schedule the time and reschedule the meeting. And that's a really great way to test the robustness of both how deep the conversational agent will go and how correctly the personal assistant will work. That's so funny. All right, so yeah, in a second, it's about to actually generate a response to the other agent. This is hilarious. Okay, anyways. Let's see. Let's get back here. Oh yeah, let's test this one as well. Oh yeah, so there's that email. This is the response. I'm open to rescheduling. I didn't get to read the whole thing, but yeah, it's funny. Yeah, I didn't tell that one to respond yet, so it could go back and forth. That's kind of cool. Anyways, all right, let's test this one. This is another one where, so I set up a few ones like this for calendar that are kind of useful, because what you can do is you can create these personal assistants. So this one that was responding. Let me just go up to where that is. Personal assistant. Oh, here it is. Yeah. Here's my webhook agent. So I'll publish this one. I don't think I published this one. I'll publish this one later today. But actually, you guys won't be able to run it, so I'll wait until you guys can all run it to publish this one. Because webhooks are live in, I think, 7.1.1. So you can see how I described the agent and told it what to do here. This is just a simple 2 sentences, really. And that was the rescheduling agent, and it sends them a calendar link if this happens. And then actually, so it figures out who to send it to. It sets up the email. That's what the agent basically does. So all I had to do was send it. The cool thing about this is, like before, and probably with every other like automation service that has inbound webhooks that you've ever set up before, you've had to like explicitly define the inputs, right, to these webhooks. All I did when I set this up is I just put the data here, and on the other end, I just described what it wanted to do. Because on the other end, the agent is just getting this in plain text, right? My version keeps these open so we can read them. So the agent, you look at these up, what the agent is getting. So on the other end, the agent's getting raw text to parse this data. So you can actually describe to the agent how to parse this data in raw text without having to explicitly figure out what like webhook endpoint to connect to. And so it's much more robust, I think, because you're describing it to like a person, not a tool that you have to get exactly correct. So I think this was fun. Like a fun little interesting feature that I didn't realize when we were building it before. So agent webhooks are way easier to set up than other webhooks. I should have known this, right? Because you don't have to, like the format, none of the format matters. You can just send whatever data in whatever format, it'll figure it out, and then tell it how to figure it out in simple language. And you can see this. I'm not going to explicitly go in here. I mean, you can kind of see. Like, it just, none of this is like a JSON. It's not structured in any way that you would normally send a webhook. It's just sending the data raw. So, and I'm just telling it how to describe the data here in the agent dashboard. And you can do this yourself just by editing it, adding simple language. And I recommend playing with this. Like email your own agent, see how it responds, tell it to respond differently in the tasks. And that's how you build your own personal assistants using entirely simple language. Super exciting stuff. Yeah, and this other one, let me just push this one. What it does is it opens the meeting. There's no meeting on this. You need a default meeting, so I needed to start a meeting in 5 minutes or something. But what it does is it opens the meeting and then tells me the meeting is starting in 5 minutes. So that's kind of cool. There's another one I had that actually sends, that scrapes data based on the meeting. So if it's like with a company, what it'll do is it'll open the Crunchbase for me and set that up and all that stuff. That's kind of cool. So I can do research for you. Anything that you would do manually that you could think now. A lot of this stuff is very possible with GPT-4. So what I would do is think, what are the valuable rote things that you do, and see if you can teach agents to do this, that you would be able to hire someone to do, but maybe you didn't want to spend the time teaching someone, or like the extra overhead of having like an extra person. Because these agents, instead of spending thousands of dollars for a software developer or something like that, right? These agents are 30 cents per generation. So it's much more feasible for now everyone to have their own personal assistant now. Can now afford a personal assistant. Everyone can now afford a personal software engineer. It's cool stuff. Especially our early supporters. They get complete free access to this super valuable tool. And I appreciate all the support as well. So it's kind of cool. So, all right. Yeah. All right. Let's get back here. I'm trying to do these meetups, so this meetup slightly differently than the last one. I'm going back and forth, so we're not all doing the slides at the same time. These are just simple examples. Calendars is just a simple example. You can trigger this from like Zapier. You can see everything that Zapier has access to. So every other service that does events, you can now try to think of ways how you can augment them with agents that do custom things. So these agents can send emails, they can scrape data for you. You can tell them to scrape data based on conditional logic in simple language. You can do like sentiment analysis on that data. You can generate graphs and charts on that data. You can generate products on that data. So, oh, that's an interesting idea. You can have like, you could build a service that generates products. Now, that's cool. There's lots of cool things you could do. You can build a service that generates iOS apps now, Android apps, websites, cryptocurrencies. Like, you just have to figure out the phrases to get it to do that, but you can now build those services with webhooks, basically. Cool. So I'm excited to see what you guys discover, but I'll also be publishing cool examples next week as well. So the feedback we got when we released Sales Agents was that people need lead generation. They need actual leads. And so Apollo doesn't solve everything. You can go test out. It is significant. It has 200 million emails, but some markets, it just doesn't have anything. Or maybe like international markets, it doesn't have a lot of data maybe. And so in those cases, you can do things like Sales Navigator. You can even scrape that, or websites, build custom scrapings for websites. And that's what we're doing. We're building custom agents that navigate sites for you. And in order to do this personalized message stuff, it's actually like, let me see, given your passion for tech and smart home products. So the only way it would have known that this guy is interested in smart home products is because we had it in the context here. So we scraped that data into the context first. Before we had agents, we scraped this data, but now we can do it with agents. And that's how it was able to generate this personalized email. And since it's a personalized email, people pay more attention to it. It doesn't seem like they're someone just generate a mass number of these. And since they're actually responding, they think it's a real person, up to 5 replies. It's so mind-blowing. It's so funny. I mean, it shouldn't be funny. For some reason, this is hilarious to me, but this is awesome. This is like exactly what I wanted. So it's cool. Anyways, I think because surprising things are humorous, maybe. That's why it's funny. It was so striking, yeah. So this is cool. And then, so the idea is that people need people need lead generation tools. So we're building agents to do that. I'm going to test one today. I'm going to show you how to do a GitHub lead generation agent that creates the data in this format. Also, we have an update to our Google Maps lead generation tool. That Google Maps automation already existed, and it's able to generate local leads. It's currently down because we're switching to a new API. This new API, or the way we set this up, we were using the same API, just a new, different API key. But the way we set this up is, if you look at the data, it gets more data than you can get on Google. I should open the Google Sheet. Where's the Google Sheet? Oh yeah, we'll just run this. Yeah, it gets more data than you get on Google. So it gets like revenue data and followers and employees and stuff like that. And also the important thing is it gets a description using an enrichment API. So we have 2 APIs on top of this, on top of Google. We have a keyword SEO API. So it gets adjacent keywords. So you can actually tell it to search many pages of that. And then it uses an enrichment API to get data like revenue, number of employees, the phone number, the owner contact, which is important, and the description. And so this is everything that you need to input into this sales agent that we set up already. So it's the same format like this, basically. So that's what we're building agents. The idea is we're building agents to help you generate this data custom for new custom data for your business, basically. So let me go over one real quick. Let's see. Yeah, this one. Let me, hold on. Sorry about that. I just want to make sure I'm running the right one. Oh yeah, I published it here. Okay. Actually, I'll run the Google Maps one first. Everyone has access to this one. This agents, only early supporters and subscribers have had access to agents. So let me do something for all users real quick. If you go just to any dashboard on CheatLayer, hit Alt-S, and, well, you can't do this in this version, but in the next version, in the next auto update, you'll be able to do this. So you can say things like scrape Google Maps for plumbers in New Jersey, and then in the new version, you can actually specify the number of pages. So you can say like 10 pages or 3 pages, or lawyers in New York, and then I'll just run it and I'll just show you. It generates far more data than you can get on Google Maps itself. It works even globally, so we tested in Spain, stuff like that. It has fewer results in Spain and internationally, but it gets the same data. So anyone can use this now. Let me know how it works in your region. Actually, I'm not sure how it works in different regions. And so what it's doing is, oh sorry. Let me run this again. I should have been paying attention. Okay. Okay. So what it's doing first is it's going to use the keyword SEO API to find adjacent keywords that are related to this keyword. And then it uses an enrichment API to get data that you can't get on Google, like revenue data and employees and all that stuff. And then it takes that a step further to get the emails. It actually opens up all the websites to find the emails on the websites to scrape those emails as a final step. And then it sends all that to this Google Sheet. So now you have, hold on. I should just stop that. But you have all the data you need for the autonomous sales agents from this Google Maps local lead generation. Everyone has access to this in the next update. So this will make it very easy for you guys to get leads from wherever you are locally. Super useful for B2B. And then next we're going to start building agents for things. Well, actually, I'm going to show you an agent for B2B, B2C as well on GitHub. So I should probably stop this. It's gonna stop itself. I only said three pages. That's fine. But you get the idea. Yeah. So it also gets the phone number, and the useful thing is the emails. So it gets the custom emails from each one of these, the phone numbers, and the descriptions. And this is everything you need to build conversational sales agents plugged into Supabase that generate personalized messages, not just personalized messages, but maintain whole conversations, and like build your own team of AI sales team, basically. This is useful to every B2B retail business immediately. This is crazy. So I think everyone should try this. If it's not better than what you do, we'll pay you. You don't have to pay us. It's like super cheap to test this. So I think it should work well for most B2B businesses. If you're already doing cold outreach, if you're not, you should try it. You might see it works well. Here, let me just stop this because this is gonna go crazy. I don't need this to keep going forever. But you get the idea. Yeah. So I only did 3 pages. You can do 10 pages, and you can tell it to also remove duplicates. Actually, we'll probably fix that in the update, so you don't have to deal with duplicates. And then it has the custom emails, the phone numbers, and descriptions. Fun stuff. Okay, so that's the Google Maps one. The other one that I was just testing, hold on, let me just check. The agent dashboard. We can also do agents that navigate websites like GitHub or LinkedIn or whatever website you specify, any custom websites. If you have like forums, private forums or things, that'd be super interesting to see what users come up with, actually. So let me know what you figure out. Here, let me run this one. Yeah, I thought that looked weird. Okay. Did it complete the task? Or no, I didn't. I just launched it. Oh yeah, I published this one. You guys can try this one when you have access to the new update. Sorry about that. 7.1.1. And so what it's doing is, so for this agent, it scours GitHub. It's similar to the one we showed earlier in one of the earlier meetups. But what it does is it scrapes all the information you need to now take this conversation to a personalized email conversation. And so, for example, if you want to hire like a certain type of engineer, right? You can now search GitHub for all the top engineers who know ChatGPT or GPT-4, and if you can now start a conversation with them, personalized conversation with them, and say, "Hey, we're looking to hire an engineer. You seem like you're interested in ChatGPT. You can actually build this like a recruiter that does this for you. Would you be interested in this, or do you know how to do this and stuff like that?" Very super easy to build your own autonomous recruiters like this. They get custom data on websites, and what it's doing now is it's doing pagination, so you can tell it to do multiple pages, however many pages you want. This example, I show you how to do pagination. And it's getting all those all those profiles first. And then in about 40 seconds, this is going to save the data in that vector database in Supabase. Back here. Let's just wait. Oh, wait, I don't think I have to wait, because my version doesn't close the... Yeah, it's done. Sorry. My version doesn't close the tabs. Okay, so it's down here. Okay, now next, it's going to open a worker to go through all those links, and then scrape all the data, including the email, personalized description, like the profile data, and even their GitHub repos. So you can imagine we can build this for any website, any like social media website or anything like that, if they have the contact information for emails. We're being cautious with releasing... I know we demoed this earlier, but I just want to be cautious because I realize that if we release an agent on like that actually sends these messages within the websites, since they're all logged in, they can all be compromised and banned, and we could like accidentally get our users' significant business accounts banned, and I don't want to do that. So, I mean, even though we don't have liability, I don't want to risk. I would feel terrible if someone lost their business LinkedIn account or something. So we're extensively testing social media automations that send the messages in the websites. But for now, what you can do is you can actually just get the profile information. Nothing seems to be, if it's public at least, that's legal in the U.S. So Twitter is legal, GitHub is, LinkedIn is not, because they sue over because that's explicitly something they sue over. But we'll be building agents like this that are legal for you to use to get a data like this, lead generation data, and also get the actual profile information, so that you get the context of the person to build conversational sales agents. So see here, it's scraping both their descriptions. These guys don't have very detailed. Some people have detailed descriptions, but also the repos that they work on. So you get more than, I think we should actually probably concatenate these so that just like gives them more context. But yeah, simple. Some of these have simple, no chat. Some people have really big. Oh yeah, this is an interesting one. On your website, and make it say what you wish. Oh, cool. So I think this agent we would actually probably, if we built an agent for recruitment purposes, they would probably find this person and have an interesting conversation with them. I think that's cool. Like if we actually send this person an email, they presumably would respond. This would be a good test, I think. We should try that out. So yeah, this is going through GitHub. It's going to keep going. Let's see what we got here so far. Yeah, I'll keep going. So this is everything you need to build conversational agents, and then the email. That's what you need. So you need the email and some kind of context, basically. Oh, he has an interesting profile. Yeah. I think maybe we should scrape all the text on the page, not just the repo, so we can get more context maybe. Is some of this stuff useful? Not really. Oh, yeah, we don't get this stuff. They do type out some stuff down here sometimes, so maybe we should also get that. Oh, I don't get this stuff either. This is way better than this. What I was doing before is I was scraping this. Not all users do this, though. Not all users have their own README. You can see, like, this guy doesn't have... Oh, yeah, hey. Maybe all users do. I don't. Maybe I don't. Yeah, this guy doesn't. Yeah. Lazy users like me don't. But people who are super into GitHub have these profiles. We'll start scraping these, I think, too. That's cool. Nice. All right, I'm going to stop this because this is going to keep going, and I don't know how many tasks I have left. Uh-oh. Did I kill everything? Oh, God. Okay. Let's see. Let's go back to the agents. I think I closed everything accidentally. Let's go back to our slides. I think we have one slide left anyway. Right. Okay, yeah. So I did the lead gen thing. I did the GitHub thing. All users get access to this in 7.1.1, I think. And then, yeah, let's talk about research. Oh, no. Did I kill everything? Hold on. Can I reopen? Close tab. What about this one? Oh, yeah. Cool. Everything's coming back. Okay. What do I need? I need the research paper. I think that's all I got. Okay. Did I lose the research paper? Let's see. I wanted to talk about this cool research paper. I can just Google it. It's fine. All right, we'll Google it. Sorry about that, guys. Okay, so there's this new research paper called LongNet. Basically, it came out very recently. We've been struggling with context windows. That's like, we're always looking for ways to bypass context windows. In fact, the next research topic is a trick to do that. But this paper is really interesting, so I'm just going to go to there real quick. I'll just Google it. Sorry, I had it open before. My bad, guys. Let's Google LongNet. Oh, cool. That wasn't there before. I guess enough people are Googling it now. Yeah, so it's very interesting. So it uses basically, how to describe this? So I have a lot of experience with CUDA and early GPU, and that was my first startup. It was a computer vision startup co-founded with CNET's original founder. We had built computer vision for sports to like 3D reconstruct sports. And they found me because I was one of the early researchers working on CUDA and GPU when it first started at a defense company in Massachusetts called Mercury. And one of the tricks they used to do early in those days for optimizing GPUs is building sparse matrices, like solving the problem of sparse matrices, but also how to solve those problems and compacting the data within like warps and efficiently fitting it within the GPU. And so this is very interesting. It's kind of like related to those tricks, actually. But basically, there's an idea called regularization in many different research papers around that time. That's kind of like this idea. So what it does is it looks at it allows something called self-attention, which is how that was the entire innovation behind transformers, is like these attention matrices that's able to check the weights of every word to every other word. So it's like this huge probability matrix, to explain in like simple terms, basically. And what they're doing here is, in order to be able to process orders of magnitude more context and data, they're allowing all that data, but only like sparsely processing the attention matrices, and then having hierarchies like drill down when you need to. And so that's kind of cool. So that's what they do. And I thought this was interesting because we were doing research on how to get to 1 million tokens, and it seems to work. This is very interesting. But this would be great if they solved it for us instead. That'd be it's very interesting. Okay, so that's why I enjoyed this paper. And then in the next bit, so there's another research paper. I guess I closed that one. Let's see. OpenAI function calling, another API. Yeah. So there's this idea called function calling. We talked about it recently. I think we skipped over using this before because implicitly, I mean, like from the level of the user or from us, it doesn't work. But we basically sent this kind of same design. This was our application to OpenAI when we first tried to get access to GPT-3, was this JSON format. I can maybe bring up our old playground, but basically it's a JSON format to represent functions, and when you say something, it outputs that JSON format to run the function. So we used this early on, except we created like a format that lets you chain functions and stuff like that. So I think this only releases that one function, but also I initially didn't think it was useful because you can't, to solve problems, more difficult problems, you need to do more than just a function. You need to do like chaining functions or multiple different functions and variables. And that's the way we've set it up now. But there's an interesting idea here where the way we train these functions now into agents, we have like a list of guidelines, and at the system level, we shard the prompt for each agent based on their specific use case. So a sales agent will have a different system prompt than, for example, a software developer agent. But even so, in doing that, that allows us to scale horizontally to infinitely many agents. But that still has a limit of context window of how deeply we can train those things in the OpenAI context window. They now all have access to Supabase, so they have unlimited memory, but the context window is always still limited to 8K tokens. So we're always looking for ways to bypass that context window. Like I mentioned, the 1 billion thing, 1 billion tokens context window is going to be super exciting. But so we just had a really cool, interesting idea recently where this is one design we can use to bypass the context window, which is basically we can teach agents instead of directly teaching the functions to them like we're doing now. So the way we teach agents to do things like sending emails and opening tabs and all that stuff is we teach them our internal library to send emails and all that stuff. So we give it that stuff in the context window. And we've sharded that using embeddings such that they intelligently get the context and code now when they need it, and they still put it in the context window. However, that still adds it to the context window and limits what it does. Instead, we could do a different kind of design where we teach agents to have a fixed context window that allows them to get unlimited functions and knowledge, because we can teach them to use function calling instead. So there's an interesting design that I didn't realize we could do before for function calling, where we can test if a function exists, and if it doesn't exist, try to generate it ourselves. And if it does exist, then it has access to this other database that we should have thought about this before ourselves. We can build this ourselves. We don't need this, but this is really cool. We should use this because I'm sure they're trained on like GPT-4 to generate these functions, so it's much smarter than like a simple SQL database or something, right, to look these up. And then so the idea is, now we can extend the ability of the sales agent or the software developer agent beyond the 8K context window by using functions, by teaching them unlimited more functions, basically. So that's kind of cool. If we change the design a little bit, instead of giving them the functions in the context, we teach them how to call functions, basically, instead. So that's kind of cool. And we couldn't have done that initially. We can't do that for generating tasks or generating agents or generating Project Atlas automations, because to do a Project Atlas automation, like the Amazon example, you need to generate more than one function, multiple functions, and it dynamically even needs to figure out what function to generate itself. So that took a lot of steps and training and stuff like that to build that framework and hierarchy to do that. But now we can add on to that, at the bottom of that, not replace the top, basically, add on to the bottom of that to extend the functionality of agents even more. So that's kind of cool. That's exciting. So expect this and a bunch of other cool updates over the next few weeks of all the research we've been talking about the last few weeks that we just haven't implemented yet, like translate to ideal prompt. I want to try that. This function calling thing, this is going to be super important, valuable. It'll make agents much more sophisticated. It'll basically allow us to build agents as if they had 32K tokens. Now we can now do that, because what we were doing before, that was the limit. All we're doing now is just adding functions now, and so that's kind of cool. Let's go back here. Oh yeah, and so the whole reason we built this system this way with agents, where each user has their own data set. So that's super valuable to each user, because they can now grow a valuable data set that grows with their business, and is actually like valuable and independent to their business. They could even sell access to those agents in the future as sales agents that are experts in, for example, real estate or something. And so that's super useful for each individual user. But what if you're just starting a business and you don't have any data to start from? How is this going to help you, right? That's actually the people that I was trying to help before. They were for starting their first business online. They lost their jobs, or they lost their traditional events business during the pandemic, and I was teaching them how to start a new business online, right? So how do you get that data if you don't have that data? And so we have a cool solution to this. I mean, we've built the framework already. So we built the framework for agents to have a global memory for code, for generating, we're working code, and agents are now learning and doing that. That's cool. But now what we can do is, we haven't released this yet, is we can have a global opt-in version of this Supabase database where users can choose to opt in and share the data that they want to share. And what that'll do is, that'll also give them access to this global database. If you opt in, you get access to this global growing database of all our thousands of global users who choose to share this data with us. And in doing that, Now this larger data set implicitly gets better at, this gives me chills, implicitly gets better at all these different markets if users who are willing to share this, and a community agent that implicitly gets better at sales, high converting copy, support, whatever. It's not even just sales, it's whatever data that you want to get better at and build business intelligence on. So that's really exciting. We're going to be releasing that next week. We already have the system set up to do that and all that stuff. So this is just part of the plan. We just took time to get people to first set up their Supabase and then get to this. And so the idea is that the long-term vision is that so new users who just start a business, who are just looking to start a completely new business in something like real estate, right? You don't start from zero. You start, your agent that you'll build will actually also have access to understanding what high converting copy is for real estate, for example. And so that should be immediately useful. I think that solves the original problem I was setting out to solve. So it's really exciting. Expect that next week. It's kind of cool. Yeah. All right. So we'll have this global growing database, but also a global memory. All users are going to be able to contribute to it. And then the idea is that in order to store valuable, useful data for things like high converting copy, right? It takes time and statistical significance to know, like, you can't just do it from one or two examples. You need hundreds of examples, and that's what marketers know. You need hundreds of examples to get statistical significance for A/B testing. And it takes 2 weeks to do that because any one day can bias the results. So just by that process, because this takes time to gather, and just by virtue of the fact that talking to customers takes time to gather this data, it means that competitors, our large, big competitors that we're going to face down, like Microsoft soon, they won't be able to hire an army of engineers to copy what we built, because in order to copy it, they would also need to get the unique data that our customers are now building themselves, and it takes time to gather that data. You can't do it overnight. And so right now, we started just last week. That's when we started running. Every new week that we add, that's another week that Microsoft has to copy. So that's very exciting. So the idea is that, like, there's these larger companies that are probably going to try and lock down language models and machine learning, and if they get access to this data, right, and then try and sell it back to you. That's what's happened historically. If you look back at Google and Facebook and all the networks, early on when they first started, it was very easy to game the networks and get tons of users easily, like Google SEO, whole idea behind Google SEO, or the Facebook graph. It was very easy to grow your startup and sell it to Yahoo for millions, like, and without even doing any sort of valuable product or anything. It was crazy. But then what happened is those networks took that ability and sold it back to us. And so the feature, what happens is the actual functionality of the product gets worse, and they charge more for it eventually. If you start with this design where users own their data, it's in your own Supabase. You can even host it yourself. It's not hosted on Supabase. It's open source. So you'll always keep it. You won't lose it if for example, CheatLayer goes down or something, right? You lose it if a startup goes down. You'll keep it. You'll be able to bring it to each new language model, even an open source language model that isn't owned by Microsoft, maybe GPT-5 or something like that. And then they won't be able to charge you for access to that data. They're just what they're going to do, I'm sure. And so I think we should go in this other direction where we build like a community data set that's open to our community that they can always use to build valuable businesses instantly. They should have access to this without having to pay. Free users, I mean, not free users, but new users should be like very cheaply should be able to get access to this. And so that's the vision, long-term vision of CheatLayer, is to make this more like a product for the people, where the people are benefiting from the data that they give, and no large companies taking that data or anything and selling it back to you and stuff like that. So, okay. So, very excited. That was good timing. Let me know what you guys discover, because I don't actually know what kinds of wild graphs are possible. D3 you can Google it. You can see wildly cool, beautiful graphs. So that I'm excited to see what people publish. And also send me an email, like I mentioned earlier, if you do cold outbound outreach already, or if you're just interested in, you just have like a lot of customers you want to try this with. I will personally set it up with you. I'll send you an email. I'll send you a calendar link for a one-on-one session just to set up. It only takes 15 minutes really to start, but then we can talk about how to design prompts and how I iterated my prompt, and so that you can build this yourself basically. And you'll be able to you'll get to the point where you'll be able to train these things. I mean, even if I don't personally meet with you, you should just try this. Just by trial and error, you'll learn that you'll be able to train these agents just like employees entirely in simple language. So this stuff is exciting, but what I'm really excited about is to see what people do and how it actually improves people's businesses. All right, guys. Cool. All right. Thank you. See you next week.